the young, and the restless spoilers. Halloween had always been a festive time in Genoa City, but this year, the biggest surprise wasn't a costume or a party, it was the unexpected return of Christian Newman. Now older, taller, and carrying a quiet maturity beyond his years, Christian's presence filled his adoptive father, Nick Newman, with immense pride. Nick had always loved Christian as his own and dedicated himself to raising the boy with warmth and stability. Yet lurking in the shadows was a figure with a claim that ran deeper than love alone, Adam Newman, Christian's biological father. Adam had made the heart-wrenching decision years ago to step back, allowing Nick to be Christian's father, reasoning that his own life, filled with conflicts, schemes, and regrets, was no place for an innocent child. He chose instead to focus on his other son, Connor, convinced that was the best path forward. But as Adam watched the bond between Nick and Christian, he felt an ache of longing and resentment stirring in his chest. Adam's conflicted emotions grew sharper with each passing day. Seeing Christian, now a young man, interacting with Nick, calling him his dad, and sharing moments of joy that Adam himself had never known, was a constant reminder of what he had lost. He wondered, for the first time in years, if he had been wrong. Perhaps he, too, deserved a chance to know his son, to share in those moments of laughter and pride. This gnawing sense of loss festered within him, fueling the simmering rivalry between the brothers. The battle for Christian's custody wasn't new. Nick and Adam had fought for guardianship once before, a grueling, bitter struggle that had left emotional scars on both men. But this time, Adam's desire for custody was different. This wasn't about one-upmanship or a desire to win. This was about a father's right, a longing that had become impossible to ignore. Adam convinced himself that Christian belonged with him, that he could offer something Nick couldn't. The need to reclaim his role in Christian's life became a flame he couldn't extinguish, even if it meant reigniting a feud that would tear their family apart once more. Nick, on the other hand, saw things through a different lens. He had been there for Christian, through the ups and downs, watching him grow from a child into the young man he was today. He'd provided stability, love, and a family that was free from the turbulence of Adam's chaotic life. In Nick's eyes, Christian was his son, bound not just by love but by a lifetime of memories. Nick was determined not to let Adam disrupt the world he had built for Christian. Yet as both men geared up for another round of this exhausting custody battle, neither considered the most important perspective, that of Christian himself. While Nick and Adam clashed, Christian watched, a quiet observer in a war he had no interest in joining. He had spent much of his life adapting, learning to live within the ever-shifting landscape of Genoa City, away from the stability of a normal family. In his own way, Christian had become resilient, a young man shaped by the absence of stability, carving out a life where he didn't rely on anyone else to define his place. Christian had returned to school, resumed his studies, and settled into a life where he felt comfortable in his independence. He had friends, routines, and goals that had nothing to do with the Newman family's tangled history. The thought of being thrust into yet another custody battle, forced to choose between the two men who each claimed to be his father, filled him with dread. More than anything, Christian wanted peace, a chance to grow up without being a pawn in someone else's game. To Christian, the battle between Nick and Adam seemed meaningless, a cycle of competition and rivalry that served only to tear their family further apart. He had spent his youth watching adults around him make choices that rarely took his desires into account. Now, as he matured, he saw the endless struggle for control as futile, a battle that could only end in hurt feelings and broken relationships. Christian longed for the chance to simply be himself, free from the weight of the Newman legacy and the constant tug-of-war between his father and his biological father. But for Nick and Adam, old wounds refused to heal. As they threw themselves into the custody dispute, each man painted himself as the rightful parent, convinced that his intentions were pure. Nick believed he could protect Christian from Adam's darker impulses, while Adam was certain he could offer Christian a richer, more complete life. But in their determination to win, either man could see the toll it was taking on Christian, the boy they both loved so fiercely yet understood so little. As the legal battle loomed, friends and family in Genoa City watched with a mixture of worry and exhaustion.